Alright guys, on this episode of DockSide TV, summertime fishing, high heat, we're dealing with low water. A lot of west winds this summer, and where we're going to head out first, we're going to start off throwing two different style spinner baits. It's our H&H clip-ons that we carry at matrixshad.com. We have our heavy wire on a number 4 blade, and we have our lighter wire on a number 3 blade right here. And we use some limbo slice on it and caught several reds on the lake-borne shoreline as it's protected on a west wind. Also, we're going to fish some drains where the duck ponds dump out, and we're going to simply take the clip-on spinner off and simply jig the matrix shad off the bottom in the middle of the canal, catching redfish and bass. These items are going to be in your monthly bait box for this upcoming month, so make sure you subscribe to this bait box and enjoy this episode of DockSide TV.
Production.
That's a red. Alright guys, what we're doing today is obviously chasing reds. We've been having a west wind for almost 3 weeks straight. The water is completely gone, as you can see in these clips right here. It's as low as it gets, especially for the summertime. Now, we started off this morning fishing the lake-borne shoreline with spinner baits and caught a few doing that. Now we're targeting the main bayous. We call them choke points that interject all of these duck ponds they're bottomed out, they're dry. The duck ponds are dry, so it's forcing the reds into the main canal. So if you fish in a canal, you can jig, just with a regular matrix and a regular jig head, catch these reds. But if you're on the shoreline, I recommend clip it on a spinner bait and just going down the bank. Alrighty, we picked off a few in a ditch right here off the Lake Bourne using a jig, and we decided to come back out to the Bourne shoreline. Now the spinner bait I'm using, it's a clip-on spinner made by H&H. We carry it at matrixshad.com. This is the heavy wire. The one Brandon's using is the lighter wire. The heavy wire one, I would suggest if you're on redfish only and you want something a little heavy duty. I like the lighter wire one. It's a little bit smaller. It's a 3 blade, where this is a 4 blade. Nice little green trout. We're back in the bayous again. Just came back in from Lake Bourne again, where we caught another few reds on that spinner. But when you're fishing these little ditches like this, you can see the mud on the banks, the water's low. When you're on these ditches, you're going to catch not only the reds, but you can run into the bass. And I'm going to show you how to jig it and approach it. I like to basically, when the water's this low, I basically throw right down the middle. A lot of these ditches with the really steep banks, have good depth in the middle, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 foot of water. This ditch isn't very grassy at all. That's why I can get away with just using an open face jig head, the regular golden eye and a matrix. You just want to bounce it off the bottom, dead in the middle. You can edge it some, but a lot of times these fish are sucked right in the middle, as all their duck ponds are dry and empty due to the low water. That's a red. That's the most fun part about Louisiana is you catch the bass, the reds, and in the wintertime the trout are in these bayous. You get a little bit of everything. That red crushed it. I knew as soon as he thumped it, it was a red. The reds hit a little bit more aggressively than the bass. The bass, a lot of times you just see your line start sliding over. And when you get these hard west winds like this, especially like a canal like this, we're not fishing a lot of grass. Typically the water's dirty. That's why we're using these hard, bright, contrasting colors like limbo slice. Catch a nice fish like this right here. All right, so what we got right here is like, we got a big duck pond, and then it channels into like a small flat, and we're at the end of a ditch right here. And a lot of times that's where the fish like to hang out. You can fish the whole ditch, not get a bite, and then when you get to where the duck pond or the flat meets it, basically what we call running out of water, that's when all of a sudden all of the fish are hemmed up together. So when I am doing this, I want to focus on 3 ways, maybe the mouth of the bayou, and then where the bayou ends and meets the duck pond, which is usually my favorite, especially for redfish. All right, we just moved bayous back to jigging that. This is a 5/16 ounce and doubled up, boom, boom, back-to-back casts on them bass. As you see on some of our previous DockSide TV episodes, we typically like to sight fish grassy ponds this time of year in the summer, but when you don't have any water, there's just no way to do that. Sometimes when we go out in Lake Bourne, we can do it on low water, and we caught several reds throwing a spinnerbait today, but the water just was not clean enough to sight. I think this is a red. Yes, it is. Beautiful. Now look, this is what I'm going to do. As I get this redfish off, I don't want to let the wind blow me down this pipe, because this could be the sweet spot. So I'm going to just shove it on the bank so I can hurry up and get this fish off and slow down the boat from blowing down that bank. He's got that sucker in there. Limbo is in there. Struck my line when I was pulling him in. Got to go ahead and retie. I'm going to go ahead and just spin the boat in a circle while I retie again, so I don't go blowing down this bank. You never know. When you're red fishing, especially when the water's low, you might go an hour, 2 hours without a bite, and then you might get into that sweet spot, and all 10 of your reds, or your limit, is all piled up together. So the last thing you want to do is be taking pictures, or like we're doing, videotaping, not paying attention, and allow the boat to float right over where the redfish are. So, do I think that's the case here? Maybe, maybe not. You just never know. All right, so now we're back ready. Check your drag. Probably tighten it up a hair. And now I'm ready to come drifting down this canal again. Let's see here. Bass. You never know what you're gonna get here. Could be a bass or a red. We're switching it up. Here we go. See if we can get back-to-back casts. And we can. What do you know? Not sure what this is yet. Gotta be a red. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Same technique, same lure, same spot. Bass on one cache, redfish on the next. Here's his Uber ride.